So Har Simrat Kaur, I'm so proud that you are here in Bakersfield. I just met you about a week back, and I know that once you decided to come from Fresno all the way to Bakersfield, it was very nice experience. I've seen somebody who has experienced Sikhi from some time and then was so much impressed that tried to join it. So I welcome you on behalf of all the Sikh Panth that you are part of us now. I would like to ask you, what was the turning point? What made you to become Sikh? Could you tell me?
Well, let me first off start with, I've been religious, very spiritual most of my life. And the word Sikh, I learned, means a student of God, a student of the Gurus. The Gurus teach about God, about reality. God is the reality. And in the ancient Jewish, I'm from a Jewish background, a Judeo-Christian background, and the ancient Jews taught from the words of King David, who said, Mikol melamdai hiskalti. This is the Hebrew language. And it means King David was saying, I learn from all are my teachers. We are willing to learn from everything in this world. And what the Gurus were doing was showing us how we can learn from all the creation about the one God, who is a plurality of action, yet his essence remains one.
Oh, wonderful. So you were impressed by Sikh religion. I'm sure there was somebody in your life you've seen. You must have gone to some Gurdwara, or you must have seen a Sikh family around. You must have a Sikh colleague who's working with you. Somebody somewhere in your life must have told you something about Sikhi. Could you tell me about it?
Well, actually, I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I'm separated, and my ex-husband is an Orthodox Jewish rabbi, and I'm also very observant in the Jewish practices. But I told him that I believe Jesus is Messiah. He never calls himself God, but it's, traditional Christians have a tendency to interpret the way they interpret it. But anyway, he couldn't tolerate that. And it was a broken home, as much as I've tried to make the marriage work. Anyway, I was jobless and homeless, and a friend of mine said, come live with me in Fairfax, Virginia, which was about an hour and a half from Baltimore. I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. And I finally found work, temporary work, with the county government, Fairfax County government. And I met a clean-shaven Sikh by the name of Sayani, what's his name? Basra. His last name was Basra. And he said, come visit the Gurudwara, come visit the Sikh temple. If you're hungry, they'll feed you. So I went, and I went to the one in Sikh Association of Virginia. The Granti there, his name is Gyani Kuldip Singh. He's one of the big Gyanis in America. And I went upstairs to meet him in the diwan. And I said, I explained my situation, and I said, do you mind if I eat some of that langar downstairs? I'll pay the Gurudwara back tomorrow. And he was smiling. I never heard of dig. I never heard of a free kitchen. I thought it was fundraising. Anyway, he was very kind and very supportive. He said, sure, go and help yourself. And by the way, stay for the kirtan. Oh, what's kirtan? So I soon found out. After the Reharas prayers, the women were making roti inside, and I was helping them make roti, and I knew that they believed in one God, but I didn't know much more beyond that and having gurus. And I was doing seva without realizing I was doing seva. But anyway, they had the service, and I was very impressed with how they treat the Guru Granth Sahib, and I was impressed with what the Guru Granth Sahib meant. I glanced through it in English, and I started a research on what is the uniqueness of the sword in Judaism, and what is the uniqueness of the significance of the sword in Sikhism. And there were alarming similarities between the two. One thing led to another, so I started to read Guru Granth Sahib in English more and more and more and more. And then there was an Akhanda Pat, and the old lady was reading, and I sat next to her, and she was pointing, and I decided, well, I'm going to try to see if I could read some of that. And I recognized Nanak, Nanak, Nanak every time. And she was going with her finger. Before she said Nanak, I said Nanak. So that's the first Akhanda Pat I ever did. One word, Nanak.
Very interesting. I'm so impressed that how Bhai Kuldeep Singh of Virginia Gurdwara has impressed and changed your life. And of course, as you mentioned that the most important thing in your life was that you seen there was a free kitchen, free langar. And this is only one of the many things Sikh religion has. Of course, people are impressed with how beautiful the turbans look like and how beautiful the long hair looks like and how beautiful the ladies' Punjabi suit looks like and how people have the kada in their right hand. And of course, they have a kirpan and gatra and kachera, all 5 Ks. And many other things. Of course, charitable life, a lot of Sikhs they have. They share their earnings. They chant the kirtan. I've seen a lot of people, they are impressed by the kirtan. The melodious kirtan, when they sit down and close their eyes, could not move from there. So I see the free kitchen was one of the concepts which you were impressed the most. I want to move on and ask you, there was a movement from many years in this country from Yogi Har Singh. He's based in New Mexico and Los Angeles. He has a Guru Ramdas ashram. And I've seen a lot of our American brothers. They were impressed and they changed into Sikh. I would like to know your opinion. How much you know about Yogi Ji, and you were impressed with Yogi Ji, or there was any contribution from his philosophy in your life at all?
Well, Yogi Bhajan Singh came at a critical time. There was a transition in the United States with either during or just right after the hippie movement and with the Vietnam War and things like that, where a lot of the young people were just misled or really turned off to the religious systems and to everything else and judicial systems and all of that. So what Yogi Bhajan did was contribute a lot to helping a lot of these lost Americans find themselves again. He did a wonderful thing. I've never met him. I don't represent his movement, but that doesn't mean I'm against any of his followers or against him. There isn't really that much I know. I have met a few that I was very impressed with, their sincerity and their open-mindedness. And Sikhism is all about that, being an open-minded, respect people regardless of their faith. Here I was a victim of religious persecution in a social way. And it's like getting my dignity back or just reinforcing the dignity that I thought that I had lost. Because Sikhism does believe respect everyone regardless of their faith. When you're in a extremist Christian or extremist Jewish community, there's a tendency, if you don't believe exactly like us, then you're cursed of God. Many people don't understand Bible. They think they understand it, and it's written in a coded way. So that only those that are truly blended in with God really understand what the text is saying. But like all religions, they have the same problems. Even in Sikh communities, I see people practicing holy, but inside they're not. And I understand enough Punjabi to hear when I'm sitting in the Gurudwara, one person is saying nindak, gossip about another. I want to know what the kata is about, the sermons, because it's all in Punjabi. And 99% of them say, I don't know. They make up an excuse or, oh, I wasn't paying attention. So I believe God is doing something very big in Bakersfield, and it's not just for the Sikh community, it's for everybody. And I believe the Sikhs are going to have a major role in changes, not only here in Bakersfield, but all over America and all over the world.
Wonderful. Well, from last 7 to 10 days of your stay right here in Bakersfield, tell you about Bakersfield, we have about 10,000 of Sikh population. And of course, you have recently visited Gurudwara, Guru Angad Darbar. And tell us how we can make our Gurudwara a better place for everybody else.
Well, I think it's very important to have Gurudwaras in every Sikh community, not for the sake of having a Gurudwara, but so that there's always a haven, a spiritual haven that someone can come to if someone is hungry, if someone needs counseling. But in reality, the Gurudwara is not the building which houses the Guru Granth Sahib, because there's a lot of Gurudwaras that I've seen that are filled with people, but there's not a single soul. But then I've seen Gurudwaras with very few people that are loaded with the souls of the Shaheed, of the martyrs. It's a figure of speech, of course. But we are the Gurudwara. It says, Kaya Kanchan Kotapara. It's, Har Simrat Mandir. God is within us, not within the building. But of course, Hazra Hazur, being God, is everywhere. And I see a lot of gurdwaras have problems with politics. People are power hungry. One person wants everything done their way, another person wants it this way. I've seen in communities, Sikh communities, where they will actually lie and backbite and just ruin people's reputations. If they see a woman in the store, they'll lie and say, oh, this person's wife was over here and over there, and it's competition, and it shouldn't be like that. I wrote a story, or God gave me a story called The Great King Subji, and you'll see it in one of the filmings, where we are all different, but it doesn't mean we should compete with each other, but that we should complement one another. And there is a future for the Sikh community, but if it keeps going like this, how much can I get? How much can I get? Rather than, what can I give? What can I give? I mean, I see ritualism like every religion, people showing off their riches, and they buy $50,000 ramalas. I was in the Fremont Gurdwara, and the president said, please don't buy so many lavish ramalas. You know, the Gurdwara has financial needs, or the poor people in the community or organizations, but they don't listen. They want to show off how wealthy they are, but then they don't want to help where it's needed. And Sikhism teaches, help people. If you're overblessed, share it with others. Don't keep it to yourself.
Correct. Well, you said very right. We had to come out of that tunnel and look ahead, and we have to be far-sighted enough to see what is good for community and not for ourselves. And that was the very basic teaching of Guru Nanak.
But it's also very important. You may not be successful in presenting Sikhism Punjabi Indian style if it's a second, third, fourth generation Americans. Why is the Guru Granth Sahib written by so many different people, not just one guru or just one follower? Because the Guru Granth Sahib is teaching flexibility. Think. God gave you a brain. Don't be brainwashed into being used to just one pattern. God is beyond patterns. And it's a matter of how to present Shri Guru Granth Sahib in a Western community. It's nice to have Indian-style rags. They should stay. It's nice to have, sit and be quiet. But you're in a community where, like the churches, they'll clap. I understand clapping is offensive in the Gurudwara. But in the Guru's times, perhaps that was disrespectful because of the bar scenes or the nightclubs. I don't know what. But it's my own personal thing where if somebody wants to sway or clap or something like that, I'm not talking about acting like Barnum and Bailey Circus. I think there needs to be some kind of flexibility and freedom of expressing your appreciation to God in public.
And we have it.
Where it's acceptable.
Correct. And we have it in the form of Jakara. We can always chant a Jakara. Bole Sone Hal Sat Sri Akal. Everybody who says Sat Sri Akal means the name of the Lord is true and full of truth. Whoever is going to say that. So everybody is trying to say that Bole Sone Hal. So everybody who's going to say that Sat Sri Akal, he's going to be Nihal. He's going to be better. So he's going to elevate himself by saying Bole Sonehal and Sat Sri Akal. And I think that's what our religious clap is